Hello everyone, my name is Brianna Barta and this is my digital storytelling. Before I go any further, I'm going to be honest and say that I will only be including my ancestry from my mom's side of the family, because I no longer have contact with my father and his side of the family. This map shows where some of my family ancestry comes from. I will go into this more in the next slide. I'll start by talking about my grandma and her history. So my grandma's dad and his parents came from Norway to have a better life in a financial sort of way. Then my grandma's mom's parents came from Ireland or Scotland, and my great-grandma's mom was actually pregnant with her at the time, and they originally went to Canada and didn't plan on staying in Canada, and eventually came to the U.S. when my great-grandma was 3 years old. When talking to my grandpa about his family history, he wasn't fully sure about his father's history, other than my grandfather's grandpa was German and homesteaded in Nebraska. I'll briefly talk about my grandpa's mother's history because I'll go more in depth on the next slide. Anyway, my grandpa's grandparents were children when they came to the U.S. and they came at different times. I didn't go into detail about my grandpa's grandparents because of the cute love story that I learned while asking my grandpa about my family history. My grandpa's grandpa and his family stayed in Iowa when they moved to the U.S. But his parents died and he was put in an orphanage. He grew up in that orphanage with his sister while his older siblings worked on farms around the area to support them. When he got older, he got a job as the orphanage's handyman. My grandpa's grandma lived in North Dakota and went to college to become a nurse, and after that went to the orphanage to become their nurse. And that's how they met and got married. I mean, how cute is that? Next, I'll talk about the socioeconomic status of my great-grandparents. Both of my grandparents' parents were small-town farmers, so they didn't have much money, which led to a multi-generational belief that joy comes from the simple things in life, because with what little money they had to enjoy things that didn't cost anything, and I think that's something that we still hold true to our hearts. So I wrote about my grandma's parents' history, but here's a picture of my grandma and her 5 siblings. My grandma is the one on the far right. Here is the family makeup of my grandpa. I couldn't find a picture of my grandpa and his brother together, so here is an old photo of myself and my grandpa from when I was in high school. One major struggle that my family has gone through is mental illness. My grandma's dad committed suicide when she was 17, and her youngest brother was 12. This affected how they were raised because the meaning of family changed, and being together became the most important thing. Since then, our whole family started to do more large family events. Mental health is also a serious issue in our family, and I believe that my family pays more attention to it now. Now I'll move right along to how I got here. My life begins with a single parent raising twin girls. I'm the oldest twin, a half hour older. The first 3 years of my life I lived in Park River, North Dakota, living with my grandparents since my father wasn't around and we needed financial support. Then we moved to Grand Forks and we've been here ever since. Through school, my mom purposely had us placed in different classes so that we learned to be individuals. The difference between my school experience and Ryan's is that we had different teachers. I had some male teachers while she didn't. Once we got to middle and high school, we practically had the same teachers, just at different times. I'd like to end my digital storytelling going over some important things that I've learned. I've learned that family is important, mental health is something to take seriously, that even though I am a twin, I am more importantly my own person, that being raised by a single parent meant I grew up fast and matured faster than my peers, and that it's okay to have a single parent. And finally, my life is full of history, and it was fun to go through it. And in the process, I got to learn a little bit more about myself.